Attention please. This uploading is only for educational purpose. No intention to infringe copyrights. Learning English with Subtitles GPITRAL. Follow us.
Okay, remember, only 2 pairs will make it through to the head-to-head, so this is your final chance. All of you need to find those low-scoring answers to stay in the game. The round 3 category is politics. There we are, politics. So who's going to go first? Who's going to go second? Right, whoever's going first, please step up to the podium. Let's find out what that question's going to be. We gave 100 people 100 seconds to name as many First Ladies of the United States of America as they could. Richard, what does that mean?
I think that's pretty tough. It's any woman who has been married to a President of the United States since 1900. They must have been married to him while he was in the White House during his term or his terms of office. And I'm going to need first names and surnames. Surnames is not going to do on this one, I'm afraid.
Thanks very much, Richard. Remember, you need to score the fewest points, so you need to give the answer the fewest of our 100 people said. Debbie, you are first. Who's it going to be?
I think it's Eleanor Roosevelt.
Eleanor Roosevelt. If it's an incorrect answer, it will give you the maximum of 100 points. Let's see how many of our 100 people said Eleanor Roosevelt. Well, it's good. Very good. Look at that. Look at that. 6. That means that 6 of our 100 people said Eleanor Roosevelt. On to our next pair. David, who are you going to go with?
I'm going to go with Nancy Reagan.
Let's see how many of our 100 people said Nancy Reagan. That's a correct answer. Well, that means 51 out of our 100 people said Nancy Reagan. That scores you a pretty high 51. On to our final pair. Pauline. We're looking for First Ladies of the United States of America. The more obscure, the better.
I'm going to go for the brand new one, Michelle Obama.
Michelle Obama. Remember, we are looking for the lowest possible score. Let's see how many of our 100 people said Michelle Obama. Not bad. Not bad at all. 47. That means 47 of our 100 people said Michelle Obama. That scores you 47 points. Well, we're halfway through the round. Let's just have a quick look at the scores. Mark and Debbie looking extremely safe there on 6. If you can keep up that low scoring, you're through to the next round. Jean and David, though, 51. You are our highest scorers. You've got to aim to score as low as you possibly can in the next pass. OK, we're going to come back down the line. Can the second players please take their places at the podium? Now then, Ruth, you are on 47. You are only 4 points below our high scorers, Jean and David, who are on 51. To be absolutely sure of getting through to the next round, you want to be scoring 3 or less with this answer. We're looking for First Ladies of the United States of America.
I'm going to have to go for a popular one, Barbara Bush.
There's your red light. I don't know if you can see it. It's down there. There we are. Oh. Above that red line, you're in danger of being our highest scorer and leaving at the end of this round. Below that red line, you're definitely staying on. Let's see how many of our 100 people said Barbara Bush. It's good. Ah! That means that 34 out of our 100 people said Barbara Bush. That takes your total up to 81. You are now our high scorers on 81. Jean and David, we're looking for First Ladies of the United States of America. You are currently on 51. To avoid being our highest scorers, you have to be scoring 29 or less. So you come in below Ruth and Lean's high score of 81.
President Lyndon Johnson had a wife who was known by a nickname. She was well known by a nickname. Am I allowed to use her nickname?
Yes, we can accept the nickname.
Lady Bird Johnson.
You're going to go with Lady Bird Johnson. There's the red line. Below that red line, you're definitely staying on for the next round. Above that red line, you are in danger of being booted off. Let's see how many of our 100 people said Lady Bird Johnson. It's good. It's very good. Look at that. 10 points. That means 10 out of our 100 people said Lady Bird Johnson. That gives you 10 points, bringing your total up to 61. Richard, Lady Bird Johnson.
Yes, she was Claudia Johnson, but universally known as Lady Bird Johnson.
That takes you up to 61, which means you are definitely through to the next round. OK, finally, Mark. We're looking for First Ladies of the United States of America. I need hardly remind you of what the stakes are. 81 is our high score. That's Ruth and Pauline there. If you want to make it through to the next round, you have to be scoring 74 or less.
I'll try Martha Washington.
Let's see how many of our 100 people went with Martha Washington. Unfortunately, that is a wrong answer. That means you score the maximum of 100 points. That's great news for Ruth and Pauline, but I'm afraid, Mark and Debbie, that means you are leaving the show now. Richard?
Of course, it's pre-1900, George Washington. Long time pre-1900.
What else, Richard? What else could they have said?
Well, there were 6 pointless answers, lots from sort of the very early part of the 20th century. You got Ida McKinley, who's William McKinley's wife, Edith Roosevelt, who's Teddy Roosevelt's wife, Helen Taft, who was William Taft's wife, Ellen Wilson and Edith Wilson, both of whom were married to Woodrow Wilson in more liberal times, and Elizabeth Truman, who is Harry S. Truman's wife. If you've got any of those at home, congratulations. Very, very tough. Let's have a look at the worst answers you could have given, the most obvious ones. We've already had third place. Pauline, you gave us Michelle Obama, who was third. David, you gave us Nancy Reagan. That's the second worst answer. And the worst answer of all, the one that most people knew, anybody?
Hillary Clinton.
Hillary Clinton, that's exactly right. Most popular answer.
Thanks very much, Richard. OK, Mark and Debbie, you've wasted one of your chances to get through to the pointless final. We'll have to say goodbye to you for today. But we'll see you next time for your last chance. Thanks so much for playing. You've been great. But for the remaining 2 pairs, things are about to get even more exciting now as we enter the head-to-head. So well done, Ruth and Pauline, Jean and David. You've made it through to the head-to-head. Now, only one pair can make it through to today's final and play for today's jackpot, which currently stands at £1,250. OK, here's how the head-to-head works. You are now allowed to confer. Each team will take turns to give me an answer, and you'll each have an equal number of turns. The first team that accumulates more than 100 points, or the team that goes over 100 by the most, will lose. So, as always, to stay in the game, you want to score as few points as possible by saying the answers that the fewest of our 100 people gave. OK, Ruth and Pauline, you performed best over the first 3 rounds, so not only do you get to decide whether or not you go first, you also get to choose the topic, and your choice is between tennis champions or the Americas. Tennis champions or the Americas.
Tennis champions.
It's going to be tennis champions. And would you like to go first or second?
First.
First.
OK, let's play Pointless. Right, well, let's find out what the question is. We gave 100 people 100 seconds to name as many winners of the Wimbledon men's singles title since 1970 as they could. Richard, what do you think I'm going to ask you now?
Well, to elaborate, there's not a huge amount of elaboration I can do. We're simply looking for the names of any of the 18 men who've won the men's singles title at Wimbledon since 1970.
And remember, you don't want to go over 100. OK, so you want to score the lowest number of points each time. What are those Wimbledon men's champions that nobody else can think of? OK, Ruth and Pauline.
Gorovich. Ivan Gorovich.
Ivan Gorovich.
Yes. Something like that.
Ivan Gorovich. OK, let's see how many of our 100 people went with Ivan Gorovich. If it is incorrect, of course, you will score the maximum of 100 points.